Hello, everybody, and Happy New Year's. A little late for that, but yeah, never too late, I guess. So I would like to talk about in this video uh, 2016. Yeah, I'd like to reflect on 2016 in this video and what it has meant for me. You know how a lot of people think 2016 was like a really bad year, because Donald Trump became president and it's like, oh, wow, and all these celebrities died. Yeah, just a bad, bad year. Let's forget about 2016. Let's move on. And, but for me, no, I'd say 2016 was fantastic. It was very positive. And it was a game changer for me. So why? Why is that? Well, here are some of the events that occurred in my life in 2016 that made all the difference in the world moving forward. Finding out that I no longer have hepatitis C. Yes, I did the treatment late in 2015, but I wouldn't find out until 3 months after, doing blood tests and all that stuff to make sure that the virus was completely cleared from my system. And it was, the treatment worked. I'm hepatitis free, yay! And that was the biggest. I mean, that was like, wow, that had me rethinking everything from there. The next one, no longer following 100% vegan, introducing some, but just a very little bit of meat into my diet. Getting a job, yeah, going back to work. Yeah, that was like, something I basically have been unemployed for a number of years now, by choice. And so yeah, that was a real adjustment. And buying a condo, I bought a condo. I've been looking for a property for a few years now, and I finally settled on buying a condominium right here in the heart of Toronto. Something that I never thought I would have done, because I was actually looking at completely different things, like buying a property out in Costa Rica or buying some land out in the country, and then I do completely the opposite. And then the last thing that happened to me towards the end of 2016 was becoming politically aware. And so these are all huge game changers, and are like, just when you think things can't, I'm 57 years old, like what left in life is there to really get excited about? And like a lot of people my age just kind of settle into their ways and just look at retirement and kind of chug along until they reach their grave. And yeah, I'm looking at the future like, wow, let's rock and roll, man. Yeah. So where do I begin? Well, with the Hep C, like finding out that I no longer had Hep C, well, it was a game changer, because prior to that, I'm looking at everything in terms of everything I did, every action I did was always with, remember, you've got Hep C. Oh, I like that girl. Maybe I should ask her out. Oh, remember, you've got Hep C. So I didn't date. I wouldn't go out with anybody. I basically refuse to get involved and have serious relationships with any women. So, mind you, I still haven't dated yet, but I'm open to it. Okay, and then so yeah, that was a big game changer. Now that's out of the way. That I can't use that as an excuse anymore. And then the other thing too was, like, even though I wasn't feeling any of the crappy symptoms that you get with this disease, because I'm eating healthy, looking after myself. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I exercise. The reality was, gradually this disease was eating away at my liver, and at some point I would my liver would fail, and either I would have to get a transplant or else I would just have to die. And I was thinking, okay, I'm probably good into my 70s before that begins to happen, my early 70s. And so you're thinking in terms of, financing, like, how do I, so, I think, okay, I've got savings, I've got investments, I've got passive income. I could ride this out pretty well until I die. I could live comfortably. And that's all changed. Now I'm thinking, okay, what if I live to be 80? What if I live to be 100? How do I afford that? Like this is something you don't think about when you're young. How are you going to look after yourself in your old age? And it's a big question. There's a lot of people I know who are in retirement and are completely impoverished because they didn't plan for retirement. They didn't plan for the time when they wouldn't be working, and they had debt, and they never owned real estate. They never owned anything. They just spent their way through life, and they're at the end, but they're not, they're still going to be here for maybe another 10, 20, 30 years, and it's a struggle, and it's a terrible place to be in your old age when you don't know how you're going to make ends meet. It's a very humiliating place to be. So now I'm thinking, okay, wow, maybe I don't have enough. Maybe I have to work harder here. So that was the whole, dynamic of finding out that I no longer am hepatitis C positive. So and then the big thing was after that, I was beginning to feel like my eating 100% vegan was no longer adequate for me after doing it for 9 years. And I reintroduced meat back into my diet, but I've done it on a very I've done it in a very disciplined way. Basically following the principles that you would find in cultures around the world that are predominantly plant-based, but they do allow for some animal products in their diet. And I, it's not like they've planned it this way. It's kind of been just how their civilizations, have evolved based on what is practical for where they live. And that is, they eat about 5% of animal products and out of everything they eat. And so I decided to eat meat once a week, like fish and wild game and that kind of stuff. Staying away from factory farmed animals because I don't like that. It's not very nice what happens to those animals in that and those kinds of environments. So that changed everything because, I was grassroots vegan at one time, and then I was Bad Daddy Vegan promoting the vegan diet, and then suddenly I'm a plant-based omnivore, following what I would call 6-1. Vegan 6 days out of the week, and on the 7th, I'm a carnivore. And then getting a job, deciding to go back to work. That was, wow. It was kind of weird at first. I went back into landscaping. That's what I did back in the 90s. And just as a laborer, starting at the bottom. And it's been great. The reason why I went back into it because I love being outdoors. And so that was the only job that I could think of that would enable me to be outdoors all summer long, get paid for it. And then in the wintertime, take a holiday, right? And this is what I'm on vacation right now because there is no work in the wintertime in landscaping here in Canada anyways. And so, I love it. And I'm going back again in April. And so now that's opened up a possibility too, like, okay, where do I want to go with this? Do I just want to be a laborer? Or do I want to take it, the company I work for really likes my work ethic. I'm never late. I don't take days off. And yeah, I'm reliable and I work hard. My boss always boasted like I could work harder than any 20-year-old man. And so, uh, I could go to the next level, become a foreman. Heck, I could even go to another level and start my own business if I wanted to, but I'm very reluctant to do that. Landscaping is a brutal business to be in. It's hard to make money. As a business owner, you can do it, but there's competition out there, and it's like any business, right? I mean, any business you go into, there's that there's a period of time when you're not making money, and you're paying your workers, and yet you're not getting paid yourself, kind of thing. I don't know if at this stage of my life, if I really want to go through that. Anyhow, and then buying a condo. That was the next thing I did. I bought a condominium. And I did it just out of I was getting very frustrated about the fact that I didn't own real estate. I mean, my ex bought me out of the house that we owned in the beach. And so I hate the fact that I'm paying rent. I feel like it's just throwing my money away. But I wanted to buy a house. I had this thing about buying a house and having my little plot of land where I can grow my organic garden and all that stuff. I still want to do that, and I plan to do that at some point. But my investment advisor she just said, look, why don't you buy a condo, a pre-constructed condo, and at least you're in the real estate market, and then when the condo is built and ready to move into, you can decide what you want to do with it at that point. So basically, literally 2 days later, I walked outside, I looked around, found a condo that I like out in Queen West. Great location. Like at first I was thinking, let's buy a condo like within the $200,000 range, between 200,000 and 300,000. But I found myself looking in areas in Toronto that were further away from downtown and not the most desirable places to live. And so I thought, no, if I'm going to buy a condo, I have to think in terms of investment as well. I need a really good location. So that's, I ended up paying a lot more for the condo, but I'm in a great location. So I can either rent the condo out if I decide to in the future, or just sell it and probably make a profit, depending on how the real estate market is overall. And so the last thing, and that condo will be ready by 2018 of January. So this time next year, I'm going to be preparing to move into my condo. So that's exciting. That's exciting. And where I'm moving is, I've got the vegan junk food restaurant Doomy's on one side. I have a vegan store across the street that sells like men's and women's clothing and other vegan merchandise. It's an all vegan store. The Imperative, that's the name of it. That's where I bought this hoodie. See, it says vegan. And then there's the other vegan restaurant on the other side, Fresh. So and then there's a lot of vegan friendly restaurants in the neighborhood as well. So that's kind of cool, like even though I am not 100% vegan, I'm more vegan than I am, eating, meat, right? Like that, to me, meat is not my staple. It's just a supplement to ensure that I'm getting all the nutrients that I need to survive. And then the last thing of 2016 was becoming politically aware. And that was a painful experience, I'd have to say, because, I kind of, in the background, you kind of have your political biases. And I've mentioned this in another video. I was kind of in this murky middle, non-committal and all this stuff. And with the Trump, with the election in the US and Trump becoming president, it forced me to really define myself politically. Where do I stand on certain issues? And to make a long story short, I am a conservative. I lean to the right. I'm not far right, But I'm also not exactly in that middle, and I'm definitely not on the left side. I am a conservative. And I'm not sure where I'm going to go with that now, like that my new founded political awareness. What am I going to do with it? I've thought about joining the Conservative Party here in Canada, and I think that's a very real possibility. Um, and being politically active on some level. I don't know, maybe I'll do it locally when I move into the neighborhood that I'm moving into next year. But that's basically where it's at. So yeah, the future is exciting on multiple levels. And I'm not quite sure where it's all going to lead, but I'm excited about the journey. And it's kind of nice to be old and be looking at the future in the eyes of a young man. Does that make sense? Yeah, like I have to remind myself I'm 57 years old. Like, come on, man, like just chill out. Like, get yourself an easy chair and yeah, just relax, right? And I'm just not. It's just not in my psychology. I'm thinking like I'm 20 years old and I've got the whole future ahead of me to take on, and that's what I plan on doing. I want to get out there and rock and roll kind of thing. I know it's pathetic, but it's my life, and I'm having fun. So there. Take care.